Okay, I'll do that. My name is Leah Bessa. I co-founded Gourmet Grubb, where we design food products from insects, focusing on looking at insects as an alternative for dairy. So really trying to find new and innovative ways of bringing science and the future of food together in a new approach to change people's mindsets. I started working with insects at the animal science department at Stellenbosch University. They had a little farm there. And actually, over the years, insect farming has really increased dramatically, even in South Africa. So it became more and more accessible to find and experiment with different kinds of insects. And then I ended up working with the black soldier fly larva mainly because of, the huge potential it has to have such a great impact on the environment and sort of the whole circular economy agricultural system. So basically what we want to do is take this very underutilized insect and modernize it in a context such as dairy, which is a very versatile ingredient in the Western food system, and really change people's perception and show that it can taste great and be used like dairy. So it's a very unconventional approach to protein alternatives, but it has such a high impact, and I think it's important to focus on these really high impact solutions, and through innovative food design, sort of showing consumers the excitement and the potential behind it, as opposed to just creating something without that desire behind it. So we had a restaurant here in Woodstock where we played around with different meals and different ways of creating foods for people to come and try, and we did a lot of consumer research to sort of understand how people responded to it. So it's been a long journey, but it's been very exciting, sort of, and we've taken lots of different roads to sort of understand what people respond to, what they like, but really trying to make it as fun and as palatable for consumers as possible. The difference between our milk and normal milk is that insects don't naturally have sugars, so it's very neutral, but it doesn't have that sweetness that dairy has, which makes it quite versatile in application. So we've made an ice cream from it, which is what we took to the design Indaba, and we use natural sweetness. So we use honey to sweeten it and the natural ingredients. So at the end of the day, it tasted like ice cream. Because you don't really get the taste from the milk. So I think depending on how you use it, you'll get the intended taste of the product, but the actual milk is very, very neutral. It just lacks sweetness, which is essentially a good thing. We're going to have huge challenges in the food system, and I think the biggest impact that we can have is diversification. I really think to have such an impact, we need to look at diversifying our crops as well, and find crops that can grow in, less cultivated regions, and start, growing on that side. And then instead of focusing so much on livestock, finding alternatives such as insects, which use less space and water, or algae, or mushrooms, or mycoproteins. So I think going forward, we really need to shift from focusing on how we've done things before and just focusing on singular crops or singular livestock, and really focus on diversification. And through that, we can start optimizing land that hasn't been used before, and also optimizing land that's currently used for livestock, and using it better and more efficiently for some of the other protein alternatives. So I think going forward, we really need to change from this, the single mindset where we do everything a certain way, to really opening up to a wide variety of foods and a wide variety of food systems. And I think that'll really allow us to solve a lot of the problems that we're in. Well, I think this year's set us back a bit, but I think that's across the board for everyone. We were hoping to start releasing more products this year, but with lab times being tightened, we're aiming for next year, where we're going to start looking at more diversified range of products. Also, hopefully look at things that can actually go on the shelf. So we've been working with the government as well to sort of look at creating legislation behind it as well. I think that's also important, is sort of creating legitimacy for the insect industry, especially in the food sense, which is strange because although South Africans do eat insects like mopani worms and crickets and stuff like that, it's not in our legislation. So I think there's a couple of barriers that come with starting something so new. But on the plus side, you get to be there from the ground and sort of adapt the groundwork and the foundations to work with what you're doing. So hopefully next year we can release some cool new products. And we're looking at a chocolate with no dairy, and then using our milk alternative instead. And we're aiming to create, in the process of creating a cheese, which is very interesting because you start getting some novel flavors as well, which is going to be quite unique to our milk, which I'm quite excited about, because I think cheese you can get quite experimental with, especially for the hardcore cheese connoisseurs. I think lockdowns inspired a sense of health, because focusing a lot on not just your actual health to prevent getting sick, but also mental health and sort of your lifestyle. I think we took a lot of things for granted, like freedom and outdoors and healthy foods and eating good foods, going to restaurants and experiencing that. So I think it's really inspired a lot of culinary um, experimenting. I did a lot of cooking, a lot of baking, but I think what I really enjoyed was focusing on creating a healthier lifestyle instead of just this rat race that we were caught up in, which I think a lot of people are going to start focusing on that going forward, enjoying, the downtime, and sort of focusing on prioritizing their health both mentally and physically going forward.